Hey everyone, welcome back to my channel. This is Coffee with Katie. I have my Misty Mountains mug. This is like hand painted on Etsy and I can link the shop down below, but it's got a little dragon and the Misty Mountains and it has like the lyrics for the Misty Mountains song on it. You can get it with or without the lyrics, but I thought it was really cute. And I love dragons, so this is absolutely fantastic. There's also, I can't show it to you right now, obviously, because I have stuff in this, but they paint little dragon's horns. So it's like this little thing of jewels or coins on the bottom, and it's really cute. So today's video is going to be a book haul. I have been putting this off, not really, but I filmed a book haul months and months and months ago, like probably 6 months ago, if not more, and just never edited it and never put it up. And so I did that a couple weeks ago, but then felt weird about doing another book haul right away. But I have to do this because it's getting out of control, because I've been collecting these books maybe since this book haul. I'm not sure, since the last book haul anyway. And there's a lot of books here, so I'm gonna have to go through them and not really explain them very much and just kind of do rapid fire. Otherwise we would be here all day because there is a lot of books to talk about. So with that being said, you guys know how book hauls work. I'm just gonna go through them and try to be as quick as possible. I can get a little lengthy sometimes and I need to not do that for this one because we will be here all day, like I said. So let's just go. Oh, there's so many. I can't even do the ones that are over here because there's too many right here. Let's just go. Okay. The first one I'll go ahead and talk about is Demon in the Wood by Leigh Bardugo. So this is the Illumicrate edition of the graphic novel that I've not stopped talking about on my channel for a long time, so you guys know what this is about, I'm sure. But the Illumicrate edition has these really pretty purple edges, and underneath the hardcovers, oh, I didn't know there was something on the back. Underneath the hardcover is different than the original. It has the stag on the front and the back. And it is not signed. I don't know if it was supposed to be, but it is not, in case you were wondering. So that's kicking off my haul today. And this is a Darkling prequel story. I did read this. It was great. Next is a chunky boy. And for those of you that have been on my channel the last several months, you have heard me probably talk about Emma Hamm and Fireheart, and that I really enjoyed her Fireheart book and have low-key become like obsessed with all things Emma Hamm now. It's a thing. Anyway, so she has this series called Goblin Kings or Goblin Kings, something like that. And she came out with this special edition of the book, and it's the whole series in one book collection, so like a bind-up collection. And I went ahead and pre-ordered it, and I received it the other day, and here it is. It is of Goblin Kings Complete Collection, like I said, by Emma Hamm. It is chunky. I think it's almost, no, it is 1,000 pages. It's over 1,000 pages, but it's cool because it's the whole series in one book. I love that. The cover's beautiful. And even though it's very chunky, the naked hardcover is absolutely stunning. Look at this. I love it. The spine and the back. And because it was a pre-order from her shop, it is signed, which we love. And from what I know about this, at least from the first book, I don't know about the whole series, but it's kind of like a labyrinth retelling, you know, OG Labyrinth with David Bowie, where to save her sister, she has to sacrifice everything and go to the Goblin King. And even give her heart to the Goblin King, so I guess they fall in love. I don't know. I like Emma Hamm now, so I'm just kind of collecting all of her works apparently, but this was a really cool idea that she had, and execution, and I will get to this at some point. The next one I have is the Golden Enclaves by Naomi Novik. This was one of my most anticipated releases for the year. It is the last lesson in the Scholomance, lesson 3 of the Scholomance in this trilogy. It was a little like beat up when I got it, so they're sending me a replacement, but I have this one. It's very shiny, very gold. And can't really say much because it is the third in the series, but the first one's A Deadly Education, where basically you go to the school and you graduate or you die because you're studying magic, and there are monsters throughout the school trying to kill you. Very excited to read the third and final installment and see how the story wraps up. These next two were some Fake Crate pre-orders that I pre-ordered, I think in the spring, if not in the winter, early winter last, like the beginning of the year. And that is On These Black Sands and From These Dark Depths by Vanessa Rassinen. I think that's how you say her name. I was really intrigued by these because it is a pirate fantasy series, and they've got really pretty gold edges. And the series is called the Aisling Sea series. And On These Black Sands is book 1, and I don't really know much about it, but on the front it says, when everything she knows is a lie, she must trust a pirate. And it sounds really cool. It came with signed book plates, and the naked hardcovers are just really pretty. Like, look at this. I love them. That's why I wanted the fake crate editions of these books, to be honest. All I really know about it is that there's an heir of some sort. She's an heir to a council or a royalty or something, and she teams up with a pirate who's also on a quest that he does not want to complete and that is very dangerous. I think there's some romance, but it's basically a pirate fantasy, and that's why I wanted to read it. It sounds great. I've actually heard really good things about it. I just haven't personally read it, so I wanted to get them, and I got the fake crate editions because they were really affordable, to be honest, and I thought I would have these editions if I was going to buy them anyway. And the next ones, I feel like I can fly through these as well, but it is the Kingdom of the Wicked series. These are the Barnes & Noble exclusive editions. I had the second one as a Barnes & Noble exclusive and had pre-ordered the third, but then they released the box set where you could get the first one as well, and the first one was like impossible to find for a reasonable price. So I just went ahead and pre-ordered the trilogy, and then I'm gonna get rid of my extra copies. So the first one we have is Kingdom of the Wicked Barnes & Noble exclusive, Kingdom of the Cursed, and Kingdom of the Feared, all by Carrie Maniscalco. This is the last installment in the Kingdom of the Wicked series, and I have loved the series so far, and I'm happy to have exclusive editions of these. If you don't know what Kingdom of the Wicked is, basically there is a twin who her twin sister is brutally murdered, and she's trying to find out what's going on and why these murders are happening, and teams up with a demon prince of hell. And then of course we have Volume 3 of Lore Olympus by Rachel Smythe. I absolutely adore this series so much, and I always get the little paperback versions when they come out because this is a fantastic webtoon and graphic novel. It is unparalleled and amazing, and you must read it if it's at all interesting to you, and if you have to do it hard copy, these are becoming available now, which is very exciting. I've got the first 2 up there, so this is the third. It's basically about Hades and Persephone, but there's also a lot of other Greek myths that are woven into it, and it's great. Another one that I picked up that I've actually already started and really enjoy is One Dark Window by Rachel Gillig. This is a story about a girl who has a monster inside of her and magic is kind of forbidden. There's also a really cool like tarot card magic system, which obviously I don't know that much about it because I'm about 100 pages in. I haven't gotten really in depth in the story, but what I have gotten into I really enjoy, and it seems really unique and really cool. And I believe she teams up with somebody to go on a quest to end this magic because it's plaguing and hurting people. It's dark and gloomy and wonderful. Very good Halloween kind of spooky season read, I think. And I've really liked it so far. The next one is one of many of my editions of The Ballad of Never After by Stephanie Garber. This is the Barnes & Noble exclusive edition. I went ahead and grabbed this one. It has exclusive content in it and is signed and has a secret hardcover. Here's the signature. And the hardcover for this one is The Rise and Fall of the Vowlers, beloved first royal family of the magnificent North. What I love about the Barnes & Noble editions of the secret covers that we've seen so far in this series is that it's all a book that they read inside the series, which is super fun. And the next one we have, I did not do an unboxing of this because I have 3 unboxings, I believe, that I still have to edit, and I wasn't gonna film another one just for a book only, is the Illumicrate book for September, and that is the Book Eaters by Sunya Dean. The edition is beautiful. The sprayed edges are amazing, and the foiling on the cover is great. Underneath is a printed hardcover, which is really cool, and it looks like a feast, but it's books, which is fun. And pages are nice, and it is signed by the author. I don't know much about this. I just know, like, when people talk about this book or when you hear teasers about this book or whatever, it's talking about book eaters and these people that eat stories, and I don't really know what it means. And I think it's kind of trying to be a little bit vague so that you're a little bit more intrigued. But on the back it says, once there was a mother who fed on stories and would do anything to survive. And truly that's all I know about it, and that she's like on the run with her child, I think. And I kind of want to go into it like that because it seems kind of spooky. But this is a really pretty edition and I'm glad to have it, and curious about this story, but probably wouldn't have picked it up right away had it not been pushed to, so I'm kind of glad that I have it. Next up, I have the Hades Trials by Eliza Rain and Rose Wilson. This is the complete collection, so I believe this is a trilogy. It might be 4 books, but I think it's 3 books. And this is all of them together in one, which I really appreciate. It's not super long. I think it's like 600 something pages, but for 3 books, that's not bad. So I went ahead and got this because I was curious about the series and didn't want to buy them individually, and found this on Pango used, so I thought I would go ahead and grab it while I could. From what I know about this, it's kind of also a Greek myth retelling where you're following, I think it's Hades and Persephone has to compete in these trials, kind of like in an arena. And I think if she wins these trials that are like really dangerous and not suited for her, she thinks that she has to marry Hades, but if she loses, she dies. So I don't really know, but I was intrigued, so here it is. I also have the normal edition of Demon in the Wood. We're just going to kind of breeze right past this because I am obviously going to keep the Illumicrate edition and get rid of this one. I had pre-ordered it really far in advance, so I wasn't able to cancel it. But this is what the undercover looks like, if you're wondering. We'll have to declutter this or give this away because I don't need to, much as I love the Darkling. The next one I have is Wild is the Witch by Rachel Griffin. This is the same author as The Nature of Witches, which I haven't read yet, but I've been really intrigued by this. I believe in this one she's a witch secretly, and she wants to curse people, but she doesn't, so she like writes curses out but then never actually uses them because she cannot be discovered. And then she accidentally curses this guy that she hates, and then they have to like team up to break the curse, I think. So it sounds kind of interesting, and I actually really like the regular edition, like not the fancy editions, because it's got this really pretty naked hardcover like The Nature of Witches did, and I think the cover itself is also very beautiful, again like Nature of Witches. So I went ahead and grabbed this used, but it looks like in perfect condition almost, so I was very excited about that, and hope to read both of her works soon. The next one I have is the Fairy Loot edition of Half a Soul by Olivia Atwater. I've heard really good things about this. This is like a Regency romance, but fae, which was very intriguing to me because I've come to really appreciate Regency romances, especially really funny, sassy ones. And that mixed with fae and fantasy-esque was really intriguing and different to me. So I wanted to get this immediately. So I got the Fairy Loot edition, which is this really pretty blue with really pretty blue sprayed edges. Nice gold foiling everywhere, and gold scissors foiling on the hardcover, which is also really pretty, and is signed, which is nice. And truly, I don't know anything more about this book except that it's a fantasy Regency romance. But India Holton, the author of Wisteria Society of Lady Scoundrels, blurbed it up here and says, whimsical, witty, and brimming over with charm, and you know how much I loved that book, so very excited to get to this soon. Next up, we have my signed UK edition of The Ballad of Never After by Stephanie Garber. This is the Waterstones edition, I believe. It's just signed, but what's great about the UK editions is they have these secret naked hardcovers, so let me show you. The signed one that I ended up getting, the signature is this color, and then the signed one that I ended up getting is the Shield with Flames, which all of these have different meanings in the book, which is really fun, and they are absolutely beautiful. The foilings on the naked hardcovers for Ballad and Once Upon a Broken Heart have been next level stunning. So can't wait to add this to my little collection up there. Another special edition book I did receive from Goldsboro in my subscription is Mindwalker by Kate Dillon. And from what I know of this is a sci-fi, and it sounds like it's in a futuristic setting where this company puts like computer chips in your brain, and she's like working for this company named Syntax, and she's trying to save people, and she has missions all the time that she goes on, and then she's kind of branded as a traitor because something goes south, and she has 12 months before the supercomputer in her mind kills her. So I don't really know a lot about it other than that. It sounds crazy, and while trying to clear her name, they find out more and more sinister details about Syntax. So it sounds cool and interesting. It's, I don't know how short it is necessarily, like 300 pages, so it seems kind of short but not bad. It's a really pretty edition with purple pages and the Syntax thing on the front. It sounds like an interesting sci-fi. I will pick this up when I'm in the mood for that, but it does sound cool. Let me know what you think of this. The next one is one I have done an unboxing on, so I'm not going to get into it like at all. I'm just going to kind of show you, and that is Untainted by Lillian T. James. This is one of the adult bookish box books that I've got that I have an unboxing for. Even if it's not up yet, it will be soon. So that's this one. As well as The Spells for Forgetting by Adrienne Young. This was the Fairy Loot adult book for September. Really pretty, but you'll see an unboxing of it. And I might as well show you that I also have my regular edition of The Ballad of Never After by Stephanie Garber. And we have All of Our Demise by Amanda Foody and Christine Len Herman. This is the second in the duology for All of Us Villains. I did talk about this in my wrap-up, so obviously you know I had this. But All of Us Villains is basically Hunger Games with magic, and that's kind of one of the best ways to pitch it very simply. It is fantastic. I highly recommend this duology. And another one that I got in a book box is Belladonna by Adeline Grace, and this is a fairy loot book. Very pretty. We've talked about it. As well as A Broken Blade by Melissa Blair. This was another bookish box book. Keeping in my theme of hauling books that I've already talked about, we have Babel. This is the Fairy Loot edition by R.F. Kuang, as well as my Illumicrate edition. Gosh, it's been a while since I've done a book haul. We also have my Goldsboro edition of The Final Strife by Sahara El Arafi, my Fairy Loot edition of The Darkening by Sunya Mara, the bookish box edition of Our Crooked Hearts by Melissa Albert, and then I have not hauled this one, but this is another Goldsboro book I got. It is Lost in Time by A.G. Riddle. Nice pretty cover, creepy edges, leaf on the hardcover. And from what I know about this, the main character made a time machine basically so that they could throw criminals in the past so that they get what they deserve. But then when he confesses to a crime he did not commit, his machine is used against him. He's thrown back in time and is trying to survive in midst of dinosaurs. So I don't know, sounds crazy, sounds fun. I like dinosaurs. So curious about this, but I have this as well. Also throw this in here. I also have the Barnes & Noble exclusive edition of Belladonna. I am reading it kind of at the moment, so the dust jacket is off, but here it is. I also finally acquired the Illumicrate edition of The Devil Makes Three. I was kind of curious about this book, but this edition is by far the prettiest edition of this book ever. The other ones are not that great, and I had to have this one if I was going to have the book, and I ended up getting it for a very good price, like a normal book price, and I just really like it. The marbling is really pretty, the edges are really pretty, the end paper marbling, stunning, and it's got a little bit of gold foiling. I think this is about two students who end up unleashing the devil, and then they're like trying to rectify that situation, and I think he also works with them with whatever they're doing. On the back it says the devil seeks his due from two unsuspecting students. They accidentally release the devil and he'll stop at nothing to stay free. He'll manipulate all the ink in the library books to do his bidding. He'll murder in the stacks, and he'll bleed into every inch of Tessa's life until freedom is permanent. So it sounds kind of like a dark academia type situation, which sounds really cool. I've obviously wanted this for a while and finally got it. The next thing I got is a set of 3 graphic novels by Cami Garcia and Gabriel Piccolo. It is the Teen Titans series, so we have Raven, Beast Boy, and Beast Boy Loves Raven. I got these 3, I kid you not, they were like $5 for all 3 of these on Pango, and I lost my mind because they're like, what, 20 bucks each almost? So I was very excited because I had wanted to read these because I did like Teen Titans growing up, but was hesitant to buy them. But because of how cheap they were and affordable, I went ahead and grabbed the bundle, and I'm very happy to have them. Really don't know anything about it except that it follows the Teen Titans, so there you go. Next ones we got, I also got in a bundle, and I got them specifically for my husband, so I'll try to get through them quickly. There's so many of them. It is the Black Prism series by Brent Weeks. So we have the first one, The Black Prism, and then book 2, The Blinding Knife, book 3, The Broken Eye, book 4, The Blood Mirror, and the final volume, book 5, The Burning White. I know a little bit about this series. These are all used and like pretty beat up and yellowed, but we didn't care because it was used and it was a good price of a bundle. I think he's really interested in it. The idea is that it's a magic system based on prisms of color, so you can use like this. So some people can use this color for magic and others can use this. But if you have the black prism, you can use all of the colors and it makes you extremely powerful. I know he's wanted to read it for a really long time, and so when we saw the bundle, we just said, let's grab them. And that's that. I don't think I mentioned this one on my channel yet, but I did order this Fairy Loot edition of Juniper and Thorn by Ava Reed. This is the pretty UK Fairy Loot edition with really pretty ombre sprayed edges. I loved that about this edition. Some really pretty red foiling, and is signed by the author. And on this little blurb, I don't know much about it, but on the little blurb it says, a young witch seeks to discover her identity and escape the domination of her abusive wizard father in this gothic retelling of the Juniper Tree. That's all I know about it. And I remember when I read the description previously, it sounded interesting, and so I grabbed this edition. The next ones that I'm going to show you, you're probably going to be confused about because I have all of these books already, and that is the League of Extraordinary Women series by Edie Dunmore. The reason I have copies of this again is because she does not live in the US, and there's almost no signed copies of her books available in the US. And she did this thing where she went to New York and signed some books in a bookstore there. I think it was a Barnes & Noble, but a local bookstore there. And that was the only place you could get signed editions in the US until Harvard University Bookstore teamed up with her and had her pre-order books, so you could pre-order books and have her sign and personalize books. And they only had it open for a couple of weeks, and if you placed your order in that couple of weeks, you got signed books from her. And the prices were amazing. They were not bad at all. And because this is like one of my favorite series and amazing, and I loved it so much, I went ahead and splurged to do that because it was kind of like a once in a lifetime shot, maybe, I don't know, to get signed editions from her. And so I went ahead and ordered them all. I was very excited. So we have Bringing Down the Duke, A Rogue of One's Own, and Portrait of a Scotsman. I got them all signed, and instead of having them personalized with my name, I had quotes added in them that I really appreciate from the series. So for Bringing Down the Duke, she signed it right here, and also wrote in the quote, "Perhaps this is about deciding on which side of history you want to be," which I love that quote so much. And then we have A Rogue of One's Own, my personal favorite, and she signed this one obviously because she signed all of them, and added a quote, "Contra Mundum," which means against the world. And then Portrait of a Scotsman with her signature and the quote. And the quote says, "I do not wish women to have power over men, but over themselves." And if you have not read this series, again, I highly recommend it. It is a fantastic series about feminism and Regency. And it also talks about the women's suffrage movement. And it was so near and dear to my heart. It's hilarious. It's really sweet. So much good feminism and conversations and dialogue that come out of this, things that are thought-provoking, and also just it delves into really hard topics that can be really hard to deal with in a way that is entertaining and yet serious, and she does that very well. And these books just became so important to me because of the delicate and difficult issues that she can tackle in these books. It's just so good. I love them. So I had to get them signed, and I'm very happy that I have these copies. And now I can bless somebody else with the copies that I have already. The next two I got are by N.K. Jemisin, and that is The Killing Moon and The Shadowed Sun. And these are the Dream Blood duology. I got them, I'm not gonna lie, because I've heard really good things about N.K. Jemisin, and the covers are beautiful. But John really liked N.K. Jemisin when he read the Broken Earth trilogy, which I really need to get to. But we also were very intrigued by this one, and so we went ahead and got them. Again, on Pango, used, great price, you know me now. And on the back it says, in this ancient city, peace is the only law. On the rooftops and among the shadows of its cobbled streets wait the gatherers, the keepers of peace. Their duty is to harvest the magic of the sleeping mind and use it to heal, soothe, and kill those who judged corrupt. So it sounds kind of like an interesting take on, taking magic while you're sleeping. I don't know how that works. That's really cool. But also killing the corrupt and judging who is corrupt and who's not. Sounds like an interesting topic, so I'm glad we have these. It'll be interesting to get to at some point. And the covers are just, I love things with blood moons and really red suns and stuff like that. So pretty. The next two I have are so weird and random. So in a weird lack of judgment, I bought the Lumicrate editions of the Bridgerton series. I don't know necessarily why I did that, because I didn't really like the first season of Bridgerton. I do like watching the show, but I'm not sure those books are for me, at least all of them. There's like 8 or something, it's ridiculous. 8 or 9. And while I think I would like them, I think I got a little bit ahead of myself buying the series. So I decided to resell them. But I did have 2 damaged copies, and I got replacements for those, and didn't feel right selling the damaged copies. So I kept the 2 that were damaged, replaced those, and then sold mine off to someone else. So I do have 2 of them still, which is kind of silly. But we have The Viscount Who Loved Me by Julia Quinn. And this is the second book, I believe, but it's got this bee. It's like a little bent, which is why I'm trying to bend it back. Orange pages. They're really pretty books. They're actually like stunning books. I loved the set, but it just didn't make sense for me to keep them. And each spine was like a sibling and a window, and it made like the Bridgerton house. Beautiful concept and execution. It was stunning. This is why I bought them. But then I was like, I don't need to keep these. This is silly. And then I also have An Offer from a Gentleman, which I think is the 3rd book. I don't know how that happened to me. But it's really pretty. They're stunning editions. I love them. I think the first one was the only one that was signed, but I decided I would keep these since they're damaged anyway. So I have these. I don't know what to say about it. That's just what happened. Whew, all right, we're getting there. Moving right along. We have The Demon King by Cinda Williams Chima. This is book 1 in the Seven Realms series. I know this is like an OG series that is really beloved and really hyped, and I've never read anything from this author or this series, and so I was just intrigued and wanted to read it. I obviously got this secondhand and was just really curious about it, so I only got book 1 just so I can, wet my feet when the time comes. I truly know nothing about this except that it's fantasy. Oh my gosh, this is from 2009. What an old book. This is cool. Yeah, I don't really know what this is about, just kind of glancing at it, but one of the main characters has these like cuffs that have runes engraved into them, and as he grows, they grow, and he can't get rid of them, and it seems to be some sort of magic thing. And he also ends up with an amulet from the Demon King that was destroyed a long time ago, and I'm sure chaos ensues. But I've heard great things about this, obviously. If you haven't heard of this series, I've heard about it a lot, and just heard people rave about it, so I was just curious and wanted to know. Next up, I have The Coward by Stephen Aryan. This is one that I was just kind of curious about. It's like a warrior story, but he's considered a coward. And on the back it says, "Who will slay the evil in the frozen north, saving all from death and destruction? Not Kel Christia. He's done his part." And it sounds like he's a legendary hero who survived this battle years ago, but he came back by himself. And so maybe there's some PTSD. And since then, he's just kind of led a quiet life, but now there's a threat looming and he's kind of called back to action, but he has a secret that he was never actually the hero. He was just lucky. And it says that everyone thinks he's a hero, but he's just a coward who has no real intention in risking his life to save everyone. So it sounds really interesting. I've been really curious about this book for a while, and it's a little bit beat up, but I didn't care because I was just really curious about this and just want to know. You just hear about books for a while and they've intrigued you and you're just like, oh, I don't know, but yeah, I just wanted to know, so I got this. The next one is just a book that I've just heard about in passing, scrolling and reading the description, seeing it on Bookstagram, just different things like that, and it just kind of intrigued me, even though I don't truly know everything that it's about, and picked it up in bookstores, read a little bit of the back, and me and my husband were like, oh, that sounds interesting, and then moved on. And that is The Book of Azrael by Amber Nicole, and this is book 1 in the Gods and Monsters series. This is an indie, self-published book, but it just sounded interesting from what I heard. I got it off of Penguin, off of somebody, but it came with these art prints and things, and I don't know, but I believe it came out this year. And on the back it just says, "For 1,000 years after the gods' war, the otherworld has known peace, but soon that too will change. An old enemy driven by revenge slowly builds an army behind the scenes. Temples are being ransacked in search of an item long lost, and enemies since the dawn of time must put aside their differences if they have any hope for survival." See, that's very vague and whatever, but I was very interested in it, so we'll see how that goes. And the next two I also bought used because sometimes books are expensive, especially adult fantasy, especially indie adult fantasy, and so these are obviously loved and read and a little beat up, but whatever. I got book 2 in the Legacy of the Nine Realms series, Ashes of Chaos by Amelia Hutchins. The first one is Flames of Chaos, and like I said, this book's a little bit beat up, but I didn't care because I'm just very curious about this series and decided to buy it, secondhand. Flames of Chaos, from what I know about it, is about a fallen angel who comes to Earth and takes everything over, and then there's a witch who was a descendant of Hecate, and she had left Earth for a while, and she comes back and she sees that this fallen angel is ruling Earth, and she's like, we're not having this, and they clash, and then I think it's a romance, but I don't really know. But it sounds interesting. This is book 2. And the person that was selling that also sold book 3, which is Ruin of Chaos. Obviously, I don't really know much about book 2 or 3 because I haven't read book 1, but we have it. Okay, getting closer, getting closer. Next we have Blood Heir by Emily Wen Zhao. I've heard really good things about this series, and I really just like the US editions, but I just went ahead and got the US paperback because I don't need to be spending big money on stuff all the time. And it was $4, so why not? I believe this is a Russian fantasy. And on the back it says, "A princess with a deadly gift, a con man with a heart of ice, an empire on the verge." And the tiny little summary in the book says, "A fugitive princess with a deadly affinity and a charismatic crime lord forge an unlikely alliance in order to save themselves, each other, and the kingdom." And I truly don't know that much about it. I've heard people rave about this series and say it's amazing and kind of took them off guard, and it's just really, really good. So I have high hopes for this, but I just haven't read it, so now I have it whenever I get the chance to pick it up. The next one is book 2, and I don't know if this has a series or not, but it is A Curse of Blood and Stone by K.A. Tucker, and the first one is The Fate of Wrath and Flame, something like that. I had the first one, and so when I saw that the second one came out a couple of months ago, I waited until it was put on Pango secondhand at a cheaper price and grabbed it, since I do want to read it after I read the first one and didn't want to pay full price for it, so I grabbed this while I had the opportunity. I really don't know much about it. I think it's one of those fae, forced marriage, royal political type stories. I know I'm being very vague, but we said we're trying to get through these real fast today. The next one is another indie book that I've been curious about that I truly don't know that much about either, but again, saw things that made me like buzzwords, like if you like books like this, then you'll like this. So saw buzzwords that I appreciated and then just like recommendations, and that is The City of Gods and Monsters by Kayla Edwards. And on the back it says Death is Only the Beginning. This is a pretty thick book for being the first book in a series. It's like 700 pages. It says it's book 1 in a house of devils novels. And I don't even remember much about that, but I know it sounded really interesting. And it's about a human struggling to survive in a city that caters to the needs of vampires, werewolves, witches, and other supernatural creatures. She assumes that her life will be normal until she narrowly escapes abduction at the hands of the Dark Slayers, supernatural bounty hunters that possess the Sight, a magical tracking ability that allows them to see a person's aura, and one of her friends is taken in her place. So she's going to do whatever she can to get one of her friends back, even if it means striking a deal with the leader of the Seven Devils, the most feared dark slaying circle in the city. So yeah, kind of vague, but sounds really interesting. We'll see. This is chunky. The next one is also an indie book, and I believe this literally caught my attention because I was watching a TikTok, and you know that sound that's like, if this is your favorite, this is why. Like, this is what your favorite says about you type of thing. And it's like, no way, you actually know that one? Or, you're correct, this is the best one. This one was, no way, you actually know that one? And I don't know why, but that really intrigued me. The title of it and the cover, and then I kind of researched it and thought it sounded interesting, so I put it on a TBR, found it secondhand, bought it. And that is Songs of the Wicked, book 1 of A Dreamer's Misfortune by C.A. Farron. And yeah, I just remember it really capturing my attention when I saw that, and reading about it just sounded interesting. It's an indie book. I was curious. On the back it says, "Fear is not my master, I will never submit. A grave threat looms over the mortal world. The veil that separates the realms has weakened over time, and monsters, undesirables, claw their way out of the netherworld to torment the living. What once dwelled in whispered stories now stalks the shadows. The only guard against chaos is balance." And it says that Songs of the Wicked is a dark reimagining of The Little Mermaid, which I don't even know, it just sounds so interesting. So I have this. When I get to it, I'll be able to tell you more about it and give you my thoughts on it. Next up, we have Master of Iron by Trisha Levenseller. This is book 2 in the Bladesmith duology. So this does wrap up the duology. The first one is Blade of Secrets. I haven't read that yet, but Trisha Levenseller, for some reason, is one of those authors that I've collected like almost all of her works, even though I've never read anything she's written, because they all sound really fun and interesting to me. And I've also heard really great things about her books. So I grabbed this one since I do have the first one. Blade of Secrets is about a blacksmith that creates this sword of truth, and it will like tell you the truth of people's motives, etc. And it becomes a really powerful tool, and then she realized whoever commissioned it is going to try to use it for evil, and so she goes on the run. That's all I really know, and this is book 2. Next up, you'll probably be confused about this as well, but I got it because it was a bundle on Pango and it was really cheap, and I decided that I would get rid of my UK edition of the first paperback and just get the series while I could, because I don't need to be spending more money, so I'm trying to get book series at a less expensive price than buying all of them brand new and UK editions and stuff with shipping. So I have Shadow of the Fox by Julie Kagawa. This is a series I've been really interested in reading, especially after hearing Elliot Brooks's thoughts on it. And I really liked the UK edition covers a lot, but it just didn't make sense for me to keep collecting them when I don't like reading UK paperbacks because they're so stiff, if I can help it. And also, I don't need to be spending more money on, like I said, I don't want to be spending more money on them when I can get them cheaper, which I could in this instance, so I went ahead and did that. So we got Shadow of the Fox, Soul of the Sword, and Night of the Dragon. So this is the entire trilogy of this series. I just remember one of them is a like fox shapeshifter, and then the other one is a soldier with a demon in his sword or something, and they go on this quest. And I just remember it's really cute and sweet and really fun, and I was curious about it, and I've been curious about it for a while, so I have the trilogy now. I'm surrounded by books right now, you don't even know. And we've got a couple more indie books. This one I had heard about from a couple different channels that made me interested in it. And just kind of the dark, gloomy, edgy aspect of it is Hollow Heathens, and this is Book of Blackwell, Tales of Weeping Hollow. So I don't know if this is like a single book or if it's like the first book in a series, but this is by Nicole Fiorina, and I don't truly know a lot about it. It's signed and dedicated, which is cool. So I knew this was an adult book, but I didn't realize this. Inside it says, this is the adult version of Hollow Heathens. If you're interested in the young adult version, the hardback and ebook is available at Amazon, Barnes & Noble, and nicolofiorina.com and other major retailers. I didn't realize there were different versions of this. Whoa. Interesting. Well, hopefully I like this version. Well, anyway, on the back it says, a forbidden, timeless, and haunting love story. Once upon a time, there lived a girl named Fallon who was taken far away from home shortly after she was born. A home that held more than strange traditions and bizarre superstitions. So there's her, and then once upon a time, there lived a mysterious boy named Julian with a curse as old as centuries wrapped around his soul. He was one of the Hollow Heathens, the very dark creatures who caused the townspeople to live in fear. They called him a monster, cold and hollow. They said I shouldn't go near him. Still, there was an aching pull to Julian Blackwell that I couldn't escape, a nostalgic pull as if we'd been here before. So it sounds creepy, fun, interesting, intriguing, spooky. Who knows? I've heard good things. The next one is just to, torture myself, and that is Queen of Nothing by Holly Black. Even though I did not like The Cruel Prince, I do plan on finishing the series, and I have The Wicked King already. So I went ahead and got the Queen of Nothing paperback used while I had the chance. If you don't know what The Cruel Prince is, it's basically this girl who's taken to fairy, and then she's trying to navigate the wickedness of the fae by realizing that she can lie and kind of utilizing that as a strength. It's a lot of political intrigue. This other one is actually a new release indie, and I was really curious about it. I somehow ended up following this author on Instagram and was hearing about this book, and it just sounded really interesting, so I grabbed it, and that is The Last Dragon King by Leah Stone, and this is book 1 in the Kings of Avalier series. And basically it's a dragon king, so he's a dragon shapeshifter, which I love dragons and I love shapeshifters. It's really fun. And on the back it says, the Dragon King is looking for a wife. This news throws the women in my village into a tizzy. The king will be sending out the royal guard to bring women of childbearing age to his castle in Jade City. There's only one requirement. The women must carry enough magic to produce an heir for him. I'm a watered down human. Wow. With a mere 10% dragon magic lineage. I know I won't be chosen, but for some reason the magic sniffers command me to present myself to the king as a possible wife. I'm ready to go to Jade City until my mother tells me a terrifying secret. A secret that could get me killed by the king himself. So that was some odd word choices in the description, but yeah, from what I know about it, it's kind of like a potentially forced marriage trope with the last Dragon King, and it's supposed to be a lot of magic and high stakes. To be real, it just said Dragon King, and that's all it needed. Just had to have that word right there. Dragon King. Just dragon, really. And I was going to read it. So that's why. It looks pretty short, so hopefully it's not a terrible read or anything, but I'm curious. It may be terrible, but hopefully there's dragons. The next one we have is a newer release. I had to wait for the Barnes & Noble exclusive edition to come out, which came out like 2 months after the regular edition, which is silly. And that is A Venom Dark and Sweet by Judy I. Lin. This is the second book in the duology, and the first one is A Magic Steeped in Poison. I did read that a few months ago, and I did like it, but I hope that I like this book more. So hopefully I will. The cover is absolutely beautiful. These covers are stunning in this series. So I'm curious to see how this duology wraps up, and hopefully I will be able to find out soon. Another indie book that I got is actually a second book, and the reason I got it, because I'm crazy and I like my books to match. You guys know this about me at this point. I have the first book, which is The High Mountain Court, and this is book 2, but it's being picked up by a publisher, so they're changing the formats of the books. And I found this one in a bookstore that is the indie edition, and so I went ahead and got it while I had the chance, and I had a coupon. And that is The Witch's Blade by A.K. Mulford. And this is book 2 in the 5 Crowns of Orith series. And like I said, it's being picked up by publishers, so I went ahead and got the indie edition of book 2 Book 1 is like a witch and fae situation. I don't really know. I remember thinking it was like a ripoff of ACOTAR when I saw the cover and stuff, but it really wasn't, and it sounded pretty unique. And this is the second book, so yeah. So the next one I thought was indie, but I think it got picked up by a publisher because of the hype. And I think she started on TikTok, if I remember correctly. And I remember hearing about it and thinking, that sounds pretty interesting. And I saw it in the bookstore, again, had a coupon, so I went ahead and grabbed it. And that is Ledge by Stacey McEwen. And this is book 1 in the Glacian trilogy. And on the back it says, "The cold is not alive." If I remember correctly, there is this city that is like really cold and it's like dystopian, apocalyptic kind of situation. And there is this huge ledge, this huge like chasm. And there's like a bunch of fog and stuff in it, so you can't really see past it. And there are these winged creatures that will come and take people. I don't know if it's just females or whatever, but they'll come and take people, and they take them across the ledge, and they think that they die, and that's the end. And the main character has avoided this, but now she is being taken by one of these creatures, and when she gets to the other side, it may not be what it seems. And that's kind of all I know about it. It's probably best to go into it like that, not really knowing how it ends, or not really knowing much about it, not really knowing the plot points. So I was curious about it. I was curious enough to buy it, so here it is. I do think the cover's really pretty. I like that a lot, but we'll see. The next one is just kind of like a nostalgic impulse buy. I've been wanting to buy this book for a very long time, and they have had a couple different versions of it, and I just never really bought one, but it's always been on my radar to kind of buy it. And I had a coupon, I was there, and I saw this version, thought it looked really pretty and cool, and so I just went ahead and finally got a copy of this book. And that is The Nightmare Before Christmas by Tim Burton. This is a Disney animated classics. It's the Barnes & Noble exclusive edition. It's got this really pretty green foiling with the red writing, and I've just always wanted a actual storybook version of The Nightmare Before Christmas, and I never bought one. So when I saw this, I was like, it's my time. And tells the story of The Nightmare Before Christmas. So I love it. This is my favorite movie, and so I was just really excited to have a book version of it, and it was just really cute and precious. I finally have a version of this. And if you've been here on my channel for probably any amount of time, you know that I really love Caraval by Stephanie Garber. It's one of my favorite series, and that I've started collecting different editions and languages of Caraval itself. And my husband was super sweet, and he got online and found a couple of copies of languages that I had been looking for of different editions and got them for me. And one of them is the Polish edition of Caraval, which looks like this. Super pretty, and I love the different covers of all the different fancy editions of the languages, which is part of the reasons I want to collect really unique ones, because the covers are all different. So this is the Polish edition. It was really hard to find, so when he found it and got it for me, I was really excited. It made me really happy, and it was very sweet. So I have this one, and he also tracked down the Taiwanese edition of Caraval, which is beautiful and also impossible to find. So it's really cool, and it actually like comes off, and it's like a cardboard, and it's signed, which is amazing. And I was just very excited to have this. Obviously I cannot read these, but I just love the different editions, and this one is absolutely beautiful. It's very sweet of hubby to do such things. Okay, we're getting close to the end. This one's I also got on Pango because I had the first one and didn't have the rest of the series. And you can't really find these in the US, and you can't really find hardcover editions, and if you can, it's from the Broken Binding, and they're super expensive, and you can't find them. Obviously, you can't just go on their website and buy them. So I finally bought the rest of this series. And the second one is The Bitter Twins. So this is the 9th Reign series. So the second one is The Bitter Twins by Jen Williams, and The Poison Song Book 3 by Jen Williams. This is the last 2 books in that series, and so I have the first one, and I went ahead and got the other 2 so that when I do start this series, I can finish it. I was kind of waiting for different versions to come out, but it wasn't really happening, and so I just waited until I found them secondhand, which I was able to, which was fantastic, and finally grabbed them. If you don't know what the 9th Reign is, I think it's kind of hard to explain, to be honest, but it's basically that there's these creatures that used to use this tree and drink the sap to live, and then the trees are dying and they start drinking blood from humans to live, but that like corrupts them and has other problems, and I don't know, there's an adventure. And I've heard it's kind of a mixture between like The Witcher and a lot of different things. So L.A. Brooks will talk about it way more in depth and better than I will be able to, so check out her videos on it. But she intrigued me about it and I got it, so we'll see. And the next ones I got was the entire series of the Heir Awakened series by Elise Kova. I was curious about this series after reading A Deal with the Elf King, because this is a very different thing. It's this whole series of elemental magic fantasy, so it sounded really interesting to me. And I bought all of them secondhand because indie books are so expensive, even just comparatively with like paperback indie books versus paperback published editions, but adult paperbacks even, but adult fantasies are expensive anyway, so I'm rambling. But I got the entire series secondhand in a bundle and it was fantastic. The first one is Heir Awakens. Book 2 is Fire Falling. Book 3 is Earth's End. Book 4 is Water's Wrath. And the final book, Book 5, is Crystal Crowned. Don't know much about this series, but I've heard really great things about it actually. And on the back it says, a library apprentice, a sorcerer prince, and an unbreakable magic bond. The Laris Empire is one conquest away from uniting the continent, and the rare elemental magic sleeping in 17-year-old library apprentice Vala Jarl could shift the tides of war. And she has this elemental magic that she's kind of not really known about and has been sleeping in her, and she works at a library, which is super fun, until she saves the life of the Crown Prince, one of the most powerful sorcerers ever, and then she's kind of thrown into his world. And so now she kind of has to decide what she wants her future to be, to embrace her sorcery and leave the life that she's known, or get rid of her magic and live the life she always has. But obviously there's a dark power lurking in the shadows that they may have to battle. So it sounds really, really good, and I'm glad I have them. Okay, we're in the home stretch. We're in the home stretch. So the next book I got is the Bookish Box edition of Brightheart by Emma Hamm. This is book 2 in the Dragons of Umbria series. You obviously know I like Emma Hamm because of her book Fireheart. This is the second book in that series, and I had to get the Bookish Box edition because it matches my Fireheart edition. And they're really pretty. It has a lot of gold foiling on the back. The sprayed edges are black with this little rose. The naked hardcover is gold and has a dragon. It's fine. And on the back it says, all I'm asking is for one night to not think about the past. The end pages are pretty. Like, just all of this is so pretty. It's signed. And the inside of the dust jacket is, again, stunning. Look at that. They are sending me a new one actually, because right here it's supposed to say Brightheart and it doesn't. So they're fixing that and sending another one at some point. But I do like on the inside flap here, it says she will bring about an age of ruin, which is cool. I just love the designs of these. And I love the Dragons of Umbria series so far, even though I've only read book 1. It was fantastic, and Abraxas is bae. He is so sweet. He's like a little cinnamon roll fierce dragon. It's so cute. So very glad to have book 2. Really hope to get to this ASAP. The second one is a book that I was very excited about. I was actually kind of on the team of trying to hype up the book for release day, and it's an indie. I'm very excited about it. It sounds amazing, and that is Autumn of the Grimoire by J.L. Vampa. And this is book 1 in the Sisters Solstice series. I believe it's book 1. Anyway, it's so Halloween-y, autumnal, spooky vibes. And it's a really like nice edition of the book. I got the special edition, the Wicked Whimsy edition, because the naked hardcover looks like this and has bats on it. You can't tell me that's not the cutest thing ever. The regular edition does not have that, but this special edition did. And she was really sweet and she personalized it, and it says "Fight Forward" and signed it, which is very sweet. And I desperately need to read this really, really soon so I can get my thoughts up on it. I'll read you this little bit in the inner flap. It says, a mysterious grimoire, a marriage full of dark secrets, a history sculpted by a quartet of sister witches. For 300 years, Sister Autumn has incited wars, burnt villages, killed kings, and released plagues at the bidding of the grimoire. Meanwhile, her sister Winter, sister Spring, and sister Summer have brought forth only peace. When an order from the grimoire sends Agatha to the kingdom of Merville, she already anticipates the worst. Unless she wants to face the wrath of the goddess, Agatha must keep her head down and do as she's commanded. But when the grimoire orders her to marry a pompous prince and play the role of a peasant accepted by vicious aristocrats, she finds herself at the center of a war between the classes with an age-old prophecy. So it sounds like a lot of like dark magic, grimoires, creepy vibes, witches, forced marriage with this prince. Oh, it just sounds so good. I remember her talking about it and just sounding amazing. So I'm very excited to have this, and hopefully I will be able to review it and get it up for you soon. They also accidentally sent me another copy of this. It's not this version, so the naked hardcover doesn't look like this, it's just black. but they like personalized it and signed it, and I don't know how that happened because I only ordered one, and I ordered the special edition, not the normal edition. So I do have that. It's personalized to me, so I don't feel right selling it, but I would be happy to give it away if you guys are interested in that and me adding that to the giveaway for my 500 subscribers, which stay tuned to the end of this video. I'll talk more about that, but very excited about this. The kind of tagline this whole book has been, some witches cast spells, others slay kings, and it just sounds so good. I'm gonna have to get through this next section quickly because my dog is desperate for me to play with him. The next books I got, which I have it in 2 segments, but is the new paperback editions of the Witcher series. So Elliot Brooks talked about this, a lot of people have talked about this. They finally are revamping the Witcher series, and they put out a whole new set of paperbacks, and they're also releasing hardcovers in the US edition for the first time ever, which is super exciting, and I was very excited about this. The spines make an image. The covers have a stupid Netflix sticker, but it blends in well with the rest of it, so it doesn't look as stupid. But the covers themselves have these like very simple designs, and each book has a different one, which is super cool. I only had a handful of these books, so I'm just gonna sell those. And then I got the rest of these in these matching editions, which I love because I like my books to match, and I like it when spines make an image. It's one of my things. So I will just kind of rapid fire through these. If you don't know what The Witcher's about, there's a TV show that's come out that I'm sure you've heard of. Basically, you're following Geralt, who is a Witcher, which is this monster hunter guild, essentially. So they're kind of like sorcerers. They have magic, and they had magic imbued in them as a child to become a Witcher, and they can use potions and different things to enhance senses and do different things, and they are monster hunters, so they're paid to hunt monsters, and they only do it if they are paid, and it's kind of a interesting thing throughout the series to see that they have to get paid for it, but they also kind of have morals, but they also kind of don't, and they try to have a code of only killing things that are trying to harm others and not just killing things because they're scary, which is really cool and interesting. I've liked the series so far. I haven't gotten into it much, but I really want to delve into it more later on. So yeah, that's it, and it's by Andrea Sapkowski. Let's just get into all the books that I have. The short stories all here. So the first one is The Last Wish, which is the first one, and then Sword of Destiny. Later on, after the rest of the series, I believe we have the short stories of Seasons of Storms. So those are all the short stories, and then we have these, which is the box set of the novels and not the short stories. These are the novelizations of the series. So let me just go ahead and get these out so I can show you the covers. So the first novelization is Blood of Elves. Book 2, Time of Contempt. Book 3, Baptism of Fire. Book 4, Tower of Swallows. And Book 5, The Lady of the Lake. I feel like the best way to show the spines is in the box set, even though it doesn't have the rest of them. But you can kind of see here that basically it makes the wolf symbol, which is super cool. And I love that it makes these a little bit more special. All right, everyone. Well, thank you so much for hanging in there with me. This is all of the books that I've hauled over the last several months, and it got really out of hand and I got behind on filming this. But I did want to go ahead and thank you all so much for me reaching 500 subscribers. I was kind of waiting a couple of weeks to make sure that the 500 number stayed, and it is official. And one of you commented and said that you thought you were my 500th subscriber. So thank you all so much. That was so sweet. And I can't believe I have 500 of you. I know I am a very small channel and there's nothing a lot to boast about this small number, but it's a really big deal to me. And I'm very thankful that you guys have liked to watch my videos, and then I can continue to produce content because I really enjoy making it, even if it's not the best content out there. So thank you guys so much for watching, and to celebrate, I had announced this previously, that I wanted to do a giveaway when I hit my 500 subscriber milestone and also my 1,000 subscriber milestone. So the books that I was going to give away, give me 1 second. Originally, the only book I was going to give away for this 500 was Master of Sorrows hardcover edition by Justin T. Call. I did really enjoy this book and the series so far. There's only been 2 books out of the 4, but I wanted to be able to give somebody the copy of this. And since I got this and I don't really know how, I decided to also throw in Autumn of the Grimoire by J.L. Vampa. This is the extra copy that I was sent, so I couldn't really give it back to them because it is personalized to me. But if you would like to read this, I do have an extra copy of this that I can give away. Like I said, it's just a plain black version. It's not the version that I bought specifically, but I think the story sounds amazing. So if you're interested in reading this book, or Master of Sorrows by Justin T. Call. I will have these books in the giveaway. So all you need to do to enter the giveaway is to comment down below and leave your Instagram handle or a way for me to contact you. And then I will use like a random generator to pick the winner. And then I will contact the winner on Instagram or on whatever media you choose, your email, whatever, to contact you and then get your address to be able to send you these books. So yeah, hopefully you're excited to read these and you would like to win them, because I would like to win them if I was you. So I will be giving these away and I'm very excited. Thank you guys so much again for watching and all of the support you've given me on my channel. So yeah, comment down below if you would like to be entered for the giveaway. But please like this video if you liked it, subscribe if you want to, and I will see you next time. Stay safe and caffeinated. Bye.